Rob, thanks for doing this. It's great to see you. Just a very informal chat. We want to hear from you about your vision, both for Gallo and how you see AI evolving in the industry, all the things that are happening. And we started working together last year, and so much has changed, right? I mean, almost everything has changed, actually. So I'm excited to hear your perspective, especially knowing your background and, the projects we've been talking about that you're working on personally. So very excited about what you have to say. And this is really about what you think, your vision. At the end, we'll talk a bit about Shakudo as well. But let's maybe start. So if you don't mind, I'll start by introducing you, but I think your story is very interesting. And so you're CIO at AJ Gallo, and you were actually at Oracle before that, right?
Right,
so,
that's right.
And you've kind of told me a few stories about that, but I think that background is pretty interesting and maybe more unusual for other CIOs across North America. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious if you can just share a bit more about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, I started at Oracle and actually started my career in the infrastructure space.
Yeah.
Really focused on, at first it was basically a hosting service that was going to be, there was no cloud yet, it was in 2000. So the idea was Oracle would host your apps and then you would access it in the data center. So it's traditional hosting.
Yeah.
And my job back then was infrastructure and really just provisioning the servers, the storage, the network, and the VPN as fast as possible, right? And the SLA was 5 days, which was pretty fast because you had to ship the hardware. And then on top of that, we're building. I just remember we were building dev instances on a really large Sun. I think it was the East F. It wasn't F15K, but F8000 or something like that. I'll fast forward, and so my whole career was about provisioning faster and faster. So when I moved to start doing more software, it was around what I think I told you a story about Oracle label servers. And what a label server is a cloud provisioned, or not cloud, but a data center provisioned instance, very similar to Shakudo, where an Oracle developer would check out the code, and on their laptop they wouldn't Oracle database is too big to replicate to your laptop.
Right.
So they would actually spin up a virtual machine, work on the code for Oracle database or Oracle middleware there, and then before they went home at night, they would check that code back in, and then they would do a full regression testing via CI/CD. And this is this is I think they're using. I don't even think Hudson or Jenkins was a thing yet.
Yeah.
Right, so it's all Oracle proprietary, and that always fascinated me of the concept of Oracle was able to provision cheap laptops that all you needed was a SSH instance to do your work, and then you were able to do this thing. So fast forward to today, here at Gallo, like we said, the world's changed. It's amazing. I could name the date. May 18th of last year is when Claude Code went general release. With around that day, yeah, because that's the day I downloaded Claude Code. And I started vibe coding, and what drew me to what became very obvious to me immediately is my ability to ship code is again faster than the ability to deploy it. And like I mentioned, most of my career was deploying infrastructure so that we can deploy code fast enough. And again, infrastructure is now the bottleneck in my opinion. And when developers are able to ship code this quickly, production ready code, how can I have an environment spun up fast enough? In Gallo, we are a winery, so our CI/CD discipline isn't nowhere near an Oracle's or Shakudo's. So my goal now is to catch us up as fast as possible to that.
That's amazing, and the significance of CI/CD cannot be overstated. And I'm happy we're going through a major rebuild of our own CI/CD pipelines, and it's another conversation, but the goal is CI/CD directly into customers' infrastructures with the right gating, of course.
Yes.
Anyway, let's not dwell on that. It's your story that we're kind of interested in here. There's quite a few topics that I'm very excited to cover with you.
Sure.
Right? So we talked about kind of your journey from Oracle and starting at Gallo. Gallo is a wine producer. Right? Is that the right kind of way
we
to?
are in the last few years. We have moved from being we've always, when I joined in 2014, Gallo was both in the spirits business with some of our products like New Amsterdam vodka and of course E&J brandy. Definitely the largest winery in the world by volume to this day. And we are now a true total alcohol beverage company where we have beer. We have a brand called Montucky, and then High Noon is probably one of our most popular brands that people are aware of in the ready-to-drink category. And our most recent acquisition is one of my favorite bourbons, Four Roses. We acquired Four Roses for $750 million. So as far as like what we do, we manufacture we manufacture and ship upwards of 70 million cases of alcohol a year, 9-liter cases across the board. And in our network, our logistics network, we ship about 500,000 cases a day that just flows across the United States, not even including international.
Yeah, and it's a real complex logistics business, and one of the things that surprised us initially kind of after we met you, but also we do talk about Gallo and yourself to other customers, and nothing confidential, of course. But one of the things that surprises everyone is Gallo has a very significant tech component, right?
Yes.
And I know you kind of stood it up and built out that team. So maybe from your perspective, what do you see as the role of technology overall in a business like Gallo? Because I know we talk about this a lot, but a lot of folks don't. They just don't know, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's cliche. Everyone from Silicon Valley always says every business eventually becomes a tech business. Here at Gallo, at the end of the day, I'm a true believer in, from a leadership perspective, let's exit tech. I always use the terms like, what does winning look like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I partner with with the business here, I try not to lead tools first or technology first, even though I am the CIO. It's funny, most of my business partners want to talk tools first or technology first, and I actually slow them down. And I'm like, hey, let's just talk about what does winning look like, and how has it changed in the last 5 years, and have you really thought about that? And honestly, a lot of times the answer, not just here at Gallo, but in many places, it's no. I just want to improve these one or two processes, right? And from my perspective, this is AI. At least I used to always challenge the business before, but now with AI, we're no longer we're no longer playing. It's pickleball and tennis. While they're the same, they're different sports. So we went from tennis to playing pickleball now. So what do we need to think differently about in this new sport? While it looks the same, it feels the same, it's not the same. Right. And what I'm alluding to is this concept of what does the new enterprise operating model look like in the age of AI? And I truly believe it's different. If you asked me this question a year ago, I'm not kidding you, a year and a half ago before Claude Code, one of my biggest things that I used to always say to people is, we haven't really figured what generative AI is, right? Right now, people using the Henry Ford analogy, people are saying, the famous quote is, if you ask Henry Ford, what would your customers ask you to build, they would have said a faster horse. Right? We are currently, a year and a half ago, we were treating AI as a faster horse. I think we finally figured out what the car actually looks like now with generative AI. The coding assistant has now said this is what it is, right? And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something else past this, but a year and a half ago, you wouldn't have said that. It was a faster horse, and now it truly is something revolutionary.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I remember when we started talking, or through our conversations last year, so there are a few things you've mentioned which are super fascinating in my opinion. One is the role of IT teams is changing.
Yes.
Right? I mean, traditionally IT teams in non-technology business do a lot of operational work and not a ton of development work. And you kind of buy a lot and then you operate it. But that's changing. You no longer need, well, this is my perspective. I mean, you can kind of share yours, and we talked about it, but you can share whatever you want with the world.
Sure.
You don't no longer need Salesforce. You no longer need ERPs. You can actually create the best CRM and ERP for your business with a traditional IT team. I mean, intelligent people, right? But traditional IT team kind of skill set and mandate. And so I'm curious, what perspective you want to share.
So basically, I don't think the metrics on what a CIO makes a decision on has fundamentally changed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just think back to 25 years or 26 years ago, the rise of the platform,
yeah.
right? Because prior to that, in the 90s, people were building custom apps, right? You bought a mainframe and you hired programmers, and
right.
And the idea of buying an SAP, SAP was up and coming in the 90s, but Oracle was still pretty much a platform play. Microsoft, a platform, IBM was definitely not selling packaged software. Right? They were selling WebSphere and DB2.
Mm-hmm.
So what were the choices back then? It's the same. It's a combination of time to value as your metric,
mm-hmm.
and total cost of ownership.
Mm-hmm.
So what evolved out of the .com era was a couple things. Number one, Y2K was an opportunity that forced people to buy an ERP.
Yeah.
Right. So you had a choice of do I hire a bunch of custom developers to upgrade my mainframe, or do I take Y2K as an opportunity to move to client server,
yeah.
to a platform ERP, right? Let's just be clear, that was one of the major catalysts that drove people.
I didn't know that. Actually.
Yeah, it was. So like that's how the rise of PeopleSoft, rise of Oracle. That was, I want to say it's the number one reason, but it was a decision point factor of, hey, let me go ahead, and if I have to do Y2K anyways, why don't I do this project,
yeah.
right? And then with that rise, why were you buying these platform technologies? Because you believe that it improved your total cost of ownership over time, because you built a bunch of applications on these platforms, and then your time to value is easier because you didn't have to hire a bunch of mainframe custom programmers, and there's a language there. Going back to your question, I think it's flipped now.
So if
you use time to value, I hate to say it, like, time to value to build software is faster if you're on an open stack.
Yeah.
Right? And then total cost of ownership, that's kind of out the window if your AI can support the software.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's, I think that's the paradigm shift that's changed when we're talking about, people talk about the SaaS apocalypse and Workday and Salesforce they're not looking to lower the ARR.
Right.
So therefore, there's not really a TCO play. The TCO play to reduce TCO,
mm-hmm.
there is no play.
Right.
Right. So from my perspective, the revenue model needs to change, and right now, if every single SaaS provider's goal is to maintain ARR or increase it over time, you don't have a TCO play. Your TCO play is continue to reduce cost by cutting staff in your department, assuming that you can get more out of it.
And this is referring to Salesforce or to this kind of the CIOs?
To Salesforce,
yeah.
right? To the CIOs. The message to CIOs is how what's your lever for lowering TCO?
So I wasn't actually going to go in this direction, but it's super interesting. Salesforce recently announced their API.
And headless.
Yeah, headless.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that? Is it, the two versions I've heard is it's a real adjustment, or it's a scramble to stop bleeding, essentially, right? Because it's, and I don't know which one. No one probably knows.
Well, so let me. One of our conversations when we first met was, I kind of predicted that I didn't predict it. I've read it online and I made assumptions on my own, but the future of the transactional UI is almost going to go away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So when I say transactional, just a data entry screen is, I think that's dead.
CRUD apps. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So and the future it's going to be very much like Jarvis and Iron Man, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna read either something's gonna read an email, or I'm gonna look at a report. So I think reporting and visualizations on absorbing and validating the outcome you want still needs to be there. Yeah. But I'm gonna look at something and I'm gonna talk something and say, you know what, whatever, Kaji, create a purchase order for $72,000 to XYZ for this, right? And then if it's done correctly, your LLM on the back end is going to do all the invoice coding for you, all the commodity codes for you, right? It's going to just add all that stuff on that today. There's people whose sole job is to do drop downs and stuff and select the right thing, right?
And the LLMs today are actually, they're good enough to do this correctly.
That's right.
Because like to your point, a year ago, you could still try to do these things with an LLM, but you'd have it go and do 30% or all the hallucinations and get the correctness concerns, which is interesting because those linger in some people's minds, but anyone who is very actively using the latest models, right? So Opus 4.7, GPT 5.4, 5.5, and the open source ones, the Nemotron, the Chinese ones, like GLM 5.1, they get things right.
Yes. And then especially with new standards like Anthropic, they published the MCP protocol that everyone's adopted. There's the agentskills.io page where all agents are standardized that they came out just in December, right? And if you, at least through my experience and what I've read, if you follow that specification on building an agent, so now you have an agent that starts constricting a role, and you build a skill, and you build the skills correctly, the prediction is you can get to 90 to 95% probabilistic that it's going to go what you want. Then you throw in hooks, hooks. You can get to 100% determinism, but you have to design that with intent. Right. Yeah. So and that architecture is only 5 months old, 5 months new. And then very, very recent. So imagine in the next 6 months there's going to be because everyone's chasing more determinism out of an LLM. And this is the latest tool in the toolkit to do that. And also implement it correctly. It also will help with context rot, and also help you with token management. Token economics is going to be a thing. Right?
Oh, it's already a thing.
It's already a thing.
Again, so many topics to cover. So before we go into that, because I had a question for you on that as well. Just on the role of IT, just to kind of wrap that topic up. So CIOs have a lot more power now, and there's this interesting process happening in the industry. A lot of tech companies are doing mass layoffs, right? I think the simplified version is they realize that they can produce a lot more code. They don't need as many engineers. It seems very oversimplified. What to me it feels like the outcome might end up being is that might be true for tech companies, but for non-tech businesses where the TCO equation has now shifted, where creating a CRM or an ERP in-house actually starts to make sense economically, you need more capacity, right? Because that capacity multiplies its values through AI. So sounds like you agree, but is that kind of how you're thinking about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I think there's an opportunity, unless something significantly shifts on the way that the traditional ISVs and even the SIs are approaching things. That there is an opportunity to strike quickly and capture talent that's being that's left the traditional ISVs and the systems integrators. And have private companies like Gallo pick those individuals up. And as long as we could figure out how to maintain the velocity of partnering with the business, we'll be able to do a lot of things. Our actual bottleneck right now with our AI SDLC process isn't, except engineers are pumping code out. It's I actually have 2 teams that went from 2-week sprints to 1-week sprints, and I'm pushing them to do 2 sprints a week now.
Okay.
Right. Now the downtime is the business can't give us the hours.
Right. Yeah. The hours to provide input.
To provide input and feedback. Right. I'll just give you you and I talked about this. GitHub's metrics in 2025, they said that they did 1 billion commits. They're on track to do 14 billion commits for 2026. Right. I showed my team this today. off of one of my projects, I did 430. I did, me and my agents did 436 pushes in a day.
Yeah. Wow.
436 pushes.
Yeah.
Right. But it was easy because I'm the product owner and I already partner with the business, so I was able to act on the business behalf. My developers might not have that knowledge to make that choice. So when you're pushing 436 commits a day, you would think that you'd want a user to look at the code at least twice. Look at the output at least twice, right? Yeah. So really, how do you get the time for the business to be able to get them to, when before they would reserve 4 or 5 hours every 2 weeks to do a UAT and a test. Yeah. Now you want them to give you 30 minutes to an hour every day to review screens that the LLM is able to put out with you.
What if, and this is an interest, it's again, great topic and comes up a lot for me as well. And what if you instrumented, there's a lot of education and buy-in, change management needs to go into it. What if you instrumented the business for CI/CD? Mm-hmm. Right? So UAT can actually be more like a canary rollout, yes. Right? It's not, you're not asking people to spend time testing something. You just roll it out, and you take some risk, right? So you got to be careful with that. But some users get version A, some users get version A+1, and you see the reactions, right? Is that something? Do you think that would fly in a place like Gallo, or
probably not?
Yeah.
A few apps we can do that.
Yeah.
Things like just like the intranet portals, even the app like the app I'm working on, which is a podcast app, we could do that. But when you're talking about applications that are deciding, applications that have an algorithm behind it that are deciding the cheapest way to ship product, right? Yeah, those ones you don't want to do an AP. You're gonna want to have the business double check the math on it and those kind of things. So that's most of our work. Yeah. Most of our work is going to be things like it's a lot of it's supply. We're a manufacturing company at the end of the day, so in manufacturing, supply chain logistics and manufacturing scheduling, those are the major decisions we make in order to ensure we're getting product to the consumers,
right.
to our consumers. So yeah, a lot of those things we'd want to ensure the business side by side to see the.
You'd want explicit testing.
Exactly.
So actually, this brings me to another topic, which is you have a secret formula. Gallo has or maybe more than one, right? And that kind of reminds me of the Coca-Cola, right? So you have trade secrets to protect, and so where I'm going with this is this concept of data sovereignty, and where does your AI run? Where is it fully outsourced? Everything is in the cloud. Is it in your own cloud? Or is it on-prem? What's the interplay there? So, of course, right now those two worlds probably don't touch yet, right? The trade secrets and the operational.
Right.
But I guess one is, do you think it will always stay like this? So AI will be completely separate from the core value of the business, and two, where do you think it's going? Is it Anthropic and OpenAI run everyone's workloads, period, or everyone runs their own workloads, and the competition becomes on, can I make an actual LLM that knows that's my trade secret now, actually? So curious. What's your thoughts?
So I think at the end of the day, I personally don't want to be in a position where I have to pay for a token for every single piece of work. So eventually, I would like to get back to the more traditional mechanism of I could buy some compute and it scales, right. And the only thing I need to buy is more CPUs and more memory, and that's it, right? So
NVIDIA would be happy with
that. NVIDIA would be able to. Because I buy some NVIDIA chips as well, GPUs also. So I do see us, Gallo, and a lot of companies hosting their own LLMs.
Yeah.
Whether locally or in AWS, that's not. But I don't want to necessarily pay per token every single time. And then I do see the LLMs, the lab LLMs training those things, right? So things like Google's Gemma 4 or Gemma 4, right? Hosting that locally. I've been reading things, and it's just, they're saying it's just as good as Opus and Sonnet 3.5, which is what I started with a year ago.
Yeah.
Right. It was Sonnet 3.5 a year ago. So if I can get Sonnet 3.5 out of an open source LLM, like Gemma, why wouldn't I do that for being the LLM that runs some basic rudimentary things in the enterprise? I don't have to send those all to OpenAI or Claude or for a per token charge.
Well, I mean, I think so. Gemma, actually, I didn't know it was called. Is it Gemma?
I don't know, Gemma or Gemma.
Yeah,
I've heard both.
Yeah, well, I heard Gemma. Gemma is the first time, but it might be
Gemma. Yeah.
But there's LLMs today that are comparable to Opus 4.5 and 4.6.
Yes.
So, deep. Now they're not all made in the U.S.
Right.
or in the Western world, but it's DeepSeek 4.1, GLM 5.1. Those. So, and for some of our customers, those are not an option.
Sure.
They have to leverage kind of American-made models. So there's Gemma, there's Nemotron,
Right.
NVIDIA model. I guess even today you can operate close to the state-of-the-art models, and so token costs are interesting. Here's something I'm actually drafting a post right now for LinkedIn, because something hit me, and it's it's one of those things where you realize something, you're surprised, how come no one's talking about this, right? So here's the question for you. Let's say you're running an agent and it takes 300, 400 turns to complete the job, right? We're getting a bit technical here, but I think it's valuable to some folks. If somewhere early on it goes in and prints a large file, README code file, list to directory, that piece of text gets dragged along for the entire 300, especially with the large context models, the 1 million tokens. It won't compact. Like Claude Code codex will not compact, and so your token cost for that one README file or one code that you needed only for the first 30 seconds of your journey, it's times 300.
That's right.
And so that's mind-boggling to me. Right? It seems inefficient. So yes. I'm curious. Yeah.
Well, even MCP servers.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if this is true, but I read online that GitHub's MCP servers is almost 50,000 tokens.
Mm-hmm.
So just you start up a session and you wasted 50,000 tokens just loading your session with MCP servers. So yeah, there's definitely merit to what you're saying, because token economics we talked about is a thing, and people need to think about this.
Right. Yeah, and so I know we've been talking about agent swarms, so I want to get into that in a moment. Just on that one topic, so we did, Kaji is our AI agent. We built two things into Kaji. One is it barely uses any MCPs. It supports them, but discourages MCPs. It encourages skills and discovery, loaded on demand. But even then, you load a skill early on and it gets multiplied 300 times because it gets dragged along. So we've added, we call it continuous compaction, which is for anything that's large in your context, the harness will ask the LLM to extract the key points and drop the rest. And it's doing that continuously. Yeah. So that instantaneously dropped our OpenAI costs by 50% the day we turned it on, which was great. But that's what kind of made me realize this is a real thing and no one's talking about it.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, token economics aside, maybe just one more quick thing on that. So if you do go with self-hosted models like Gemma, do token economics go away completely, or is it just the proxy because you need I mean, you have capacity, and it's
no, it never goes away because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, even with the hosted model, right?
Yeah.
You're probably paying. I don't know. I don't remember the numbers anymore, but I'm guessing it's going to be some type of $10 per hour per
right.
$10 or $20 per hour for that EC2 instance in AWS to host that, right?
Yeah.
It's not even EC2. Yeah, I mean, yeah, to host that. So there's definitely a play there that you have to consider. But I think what happens is going to Swarm, like what we talked, going to Swarm, the agents that. So long story short, there's I built something that's just fun. I don't know if we're going to productionize here at Gallo, but it's called Swarm, which is a bunch of agents in an agentic agent-to-agent model, and certain agents are using Haiku, right? So there's an agent that's sole job is to ping the other agents to make sure that I have flow, and if it sees them stuck, it's going to ping them, right? So and actually that agent I just moved to Haiku. That actually was just a cron job that ran a shell script to poke everything. Right? That's all it did.
And now it's a bit more intelligent.
Yeah, it's a little more intelligent Haiku, right? So I think as you design your agents, which agents truly need Opus. So in this area, the agent that needs Opus is the product owner and my QA agent, and then even my architect's only using Sonnet.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them are on Sonnet, except for like the couple that are on Haiku, right?
Yeah.
Now, if we go into a Gemma 4 or DeepSeek, then you could do the same thing. Is now instead of even using Haiku or even using Sonnet for the developer agents, I can just send those to the locally hosted model.
But I guess it's still your kind of you're not paying directly per token, but if you need more throughput, you need more compute.
Yes, exactly.
But the economics of that seem to be quite a bit more favorable.
Right, and I think more predictable too.
Yeah.
Right.
So now continuing kind of on the Swarm topic.
Sure.
So there's this discussion that's happening in the industry, which is, multi-agents, where agents talk to each other, they have limited scope, and they compartmentalize context, versus a single monolithic agent that manages context really, really well. Right? I know it's like probably there's no right answer yet, and we've been talking about this. So I'm on this monolithic agent side, but yeah, do you think the multi-agent? I guess one serious question here is the multi-agent architecture going to generalize to kind of encompass the enterprise and agents talk to each other, or not? Like, where do you see this going? I guess is it all about just context management, or what's kind of the play for multi-agent?
I think for now it's context management, right? Prevent context rot, ensure determinism as much as you can out of an LLM, which again we're proving you can do now, right? Everyone always says that, and I get it, right? It's undeterministic, but with skills, with agents, with skills, with hooks, you're able to get to a pretty tight outcome, and also with agents, like at least what I understand, the reason you put in agents is to extend the agent's ability to do something before doing a compact or clear, and because at a 60% context now you're hitting context rot at 60% plus of your context. Right? So I think in the play right now that's going to be a combination of just ensuring determinism. Also, humans still want to understand what's happening.
Yeah.
So by having the agents there, that makes the humans feel more comfortable about, hey, I know this task is going to go here, it's going to be processed by this agent. And then the third is the token economics side, which it sounds like you solved in Shakudo.
I think we've solved it, but we took a step in that direction. Yeah.
Right. So then if you go to the agent that rules them all, I think eventually, as things just like Moore's law, things get more powerful, you're going to be able to do more with that one thing. But until we get to that, I think people at least for me, I'll just give you my. I like my mind, even though I do feel eventually that this AI enterprise operating model is going to blow everyone's mind, and it's going to be something that we never thought of what's going to look like. Change management still has me thinking in organizational hierarchies, and an agent can fit in an organization structure. Yeah. But yeah, eventually that's going to flatten and something's going to change. So I also am coaching myself. I need to I coach myself and my team. How can we unlearn faster? We need to unlearn faster.
All the legacy stuff needs to go. Yeah, it makes sense. And there's this very interesting operating model that Jack Dorsey posted about. That I think he's implemented in Block.
Yes.
Where we're kind of adopting it at Shakudo, which is you have subject matter experts, you have player coaches, and
That's
you
right.
have outcome owners.
Yes.
And those are the three roles, and there's no more pure management. There's no more like. You're clearly a player coach. Like you build things and then you ship them, and your team kind of picks it up and carries your vision forward. Do you think that scales across the industry? Most CIOs don't have your technical background. So is that what's going to happen? Is that do CIOs need to start learning how to vibe code? I guess is the simple
I think
question.
Number one, I love that article, by the way.
Yeah.
Right? I use it all the time.
Same here.
Yeah, I love the command and control Roman legion history. So that's a great article.
Yeah.
Long story short, yeah, I think at the end of the day, I've always personally believed that the CIO should be technical.
Yeah.
There's definitely, I know successful CIOs out there who came from the business and had a good technical team.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, as long as you have a well-rounded team, it's important. So whether you're a business-minded CIO who's really into organizational structure, building teams, and doing the business, you need to have a strong architect, or vice versa. For me, yes, I'm strong from a technical perspective, but I still have a strong architect and I have strong business people, right? So you still need that core group, and then together. I think the thing that CIOs and all CEOs, everyone needs to unlearn is out of that article, the most important thing that I enjoyed out of the Jack Dorsey article is the organizational structure at the end of the day is a communications protocol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And here we are talking about agents, right? And context. Basically, a manager and the three employees working under them, that's a context. And the only reason those are specialists is you don't want context rot to happen because you want them to do that job very, very well, which is why you created a department of people whose sole job is to do 5 things well. Right? And that's what we're trying to make agents do is a group of agents who do 5 things well. So if you start thinking of at what point in time does a human itself, just a person, start having their own context rot, and there's a lot of things proven out there, right? Like a lot of people say multitasking is bad because the content switching makes you do less of it. Well, you content switch too much, you're not going to be able to finish this particular task at 100%. It's going to show up at 80%, right? So I don't have an answer. I'm just throwing all the things that in my head
can go through
that go through my head. But do I think that the organization of the future needs more people who are able to practice, put into practice what the organization needs to do? Yes, I do believe that. I think leadership principles are still important. You still need to be able to build a team. But I think being able to build a team while leading from the front and be able to actually do some of the job is important, especially coming into this day and age happening.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's kind of surfacing true leaders, right? People who can both do the work and inspire others to do it well. Yeah, one kind of fascinating question is this. So recently, Tiger Global invested in a bagel shop, right? And this story was all over the news. They invested in a bagel shop that has created or at least the pitch is it's a hyper efficient unit economics. They're planning a massive number of franchises with a very small number of employees, and presumably AI plays a big role in that. Although I only read about it online. So historically, a lot of the disruption was there is disruption of the physical kind of businesses, but a lot of the disruption is off the tech supporting new CRMs, new sales tools, new accounting. It's all systems that kind of keep churning, and that was the last 26 years, right, of technology. Do you think we're going to enter an era now where the disruption is increasingly getting pushed into the physical businesses, where the unit economics can be someone new can start a bagel shop and build 300 branches with 15 people, because all the operations are automated. All the, you need one person in each one, and everything's done by AI, something along those lines. Or do you think we're far from that? Yeah.
I think that could happen one day. Yeah. I think the biggest opportunity for AI, one reason why that won't happen today is all the red tape of permits and those things. Yeah. So to me, that's a big opportunity that AI can solve of how quickly can you get a permit, how quickly can you just create the business plan, etc. Right? But going back to unit economics, I'm going to just give you a different tidbit that it's actually this technology. If I just go back to technology of the plow and the horse, right? When that happened, when the plow and the horse happened, and now a farmer was able to output more food than the village needed, that opened up the industry of preserving food, right? So jarring, and if you were fishing, canning fish, right? So as things become more plentiful, new industries have always popped up because you don't want to, let's say, have that go to waste, whatever that is. So as far as like unit economics, as we are able to make more decisions on this is what we're going to do, that's going to open up more industries, assuming that like I said, the building permit stuff gets resolved, which I think it can be as well. Yeah, could you, in theory, stand up? There was already concrete houses, right? 3D printed houses. All those combined, I could totally see 800 franchises that that took years to make can now be stood up in several weeks or months because AI has cut through all the red tape of the paperwork. Economic impact studies are, one day someone will trust. The AI has been programmed really well on understanding the impact study. And it's probably going to do a better job than a human interpreting that anyways, because humans are going to misinterpret some of the data that comes in that report. Hopefully that also reduces corruption.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting times.
For sure.
It's the next 20 years.
Yeah. The benefits will be very noticeable, but also the mistakes.
Yes.
which is true with any technology.
That's right.
Yeah. So first of all, really enjoyed the conversation. Maybe just kind of for us to wrap up and to give our marketing team something to work with. Maybe you can talk a bit about just kind of why did you decide to bring in Shakudo? Where do you see us going together? Like, what's your vision for Shakudo at Gallo?
Sure. So going back to the first thing that brought me to us together was, again, like as I was vibe coding a year ago in May, and I had apps out in June, I handed it to my team, and they were like, and I'm not kidding you, it took them I vibe coded in not even 2 or 3 days over a weekend, and then it took them 4 weeks to deploy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. For a bunch of different reasons. And so what drew me to Shakudo is the ability to deploy the microservices quickly, right? The other thing is through the stack components, how as I want to have more than IT, right? The vision is I actually have smart technical people out there in the business who can build apps as well and improve that. Improve that velocity of productivity. How can those people get access to data models, right? So whether it be our semantic layer in our data warehouse, or APIs, or quickly build APIs against accounts they already have, and then make those reusable for people. And then the third one was going back to my story at Oracle. I don't want to also have to buy everyone $2,000 or $3,000 laptops. So I was showing you my Mac Neo. So I have a Mac Neo that can go to Shakudo. So now I've deployed a $600 laptop that can vibe code.
Yeah.
Because it's all in the web, it's all in the cloud. So those are my 3 major reasons of why I think Shakudo was a good fit for Gallo.
That's awesome, and we refer to you quite a bit when we talk to our customers, just as kind of how to get the most value. I didn't realize that there was a $600 Mac laptop.
Yeah, it's just announced like in the last 2 months.
Very, very cool. I've been saying the words,
Yeah.
but with my iPad.
That's right.
I do a lot, everyone makes fun of me, but everything I need is accessible through the iPad. But the iPad itself is expensive. This is it's great. So maybe we should roll this out to Shakudo. All right. Well, Robert, thank you so much for inviting us here and for doing this session, this fireside chat. Look forward to the expo that we're going into right now, and we'll do this again.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.